Finding time for all the games in my library is tough. Tougher than I would have imagined. So instead of just doing them all one by one, here's some games I either enjoyed or remembered playing. See if any strike up your interest and enjoy the vid. But before that, grab a drink and relax. I'm a sucker for a good stealth game, even though I'm horrible at them. No Sun to Worship is a stealth Santa Claus simulator from Merlino Games. As a start, this game does not have a lot going for it. It's bare bones to a fault. You pick a level and sneak around avoiding two kinds of guards. Son of a! The controls are smooth and there is a game here, but it's like an unfastened tent. It functions, but a breeze could just float it all away. It's so empty. Enemies just follow their patterns and your options are relegated to waiting for them to turn their back on you, so you can sneak up and kill them. The game therefore makes you less proactive and emphasizes one of the weakest elements of stealth games. The Metal Gear series and others let you do so much to break that pattern and disrupt the environment for the AI, and therefore create an opening, not just wait for it. The only element this game gives you to help is a stealth run that drains your health, and the only way to get it back is... What you are seeing is the main reason I'm even talking about this game. The excessive violence is kind of awesome. After killing enemies, you can absorb their essence, and that's how you get health back. It does the double duty of always getting rid of their corpses as well, so enemies can't see them. This means, unlike most stealth games, where the object is avoidance, here, please go kill everyone. The upside here is if you are looking for a quick stealth experience, it's cheap. But as for recommendation, I just can't. I wanted to like it more, but it falls too short. Check out his other game though. It Comes in Waves, which is also short but more interesting as an experience. This is his second stealth game, so it would be interesting to see what he did in Chameleon, or even what comes next. But No Sun to Worship is a skip for me.
So supreme, I give my life, not for honor, but for you.
What if Jackie Chan's Stuntmaster had an indie baby? That was the question the solo dev of Midnight Fight Express most likely asked themselves. A top-down beat-em-up with a ton of moves, weapons, and some of the fastest action I have ever experienced beating up strangers. The exact opposite of the previous game. Midnight Fight Express, say that 3 times fast. Sorry. The game has you playing as Babyface, as you run around beating up different gang members, police, and other weird people. Much like some of the classics, Final Fight, Streets of Rage, was mentioned before, Jackie Chan's Stuntmaster. I will mention Jackie Chan's Stuntmaster at least once a video if more people become aware of it and give it a go. Please. Except combat is more like Arkham games, with you flicking towards enemies and doing combos with one button. It feels responsive, but not as dynamic as the Arkham games. Maybe due to the areas feeling so small, but you could still see enough and it's a lot of fun. You get an upgrade point after each level, where you can choose to focus on grapple, attacking, or my favorite, parrying. Which, like Arkham, has the icon appear above an enemy's head before they attack, giving you ample time to counter, even getting different types of parrying later, which can result in some amazing takedowns. Combat gets a big thumbs up from me. It's so much fun just throwing things, parrying blows, and beating people down and just watching their bodies ragdoll after every knockout. Some of them even drop gold teeth for cash. Now, let me take you aside. This all sounds great, but the game has a big flaw that can really get in the way of people enjoying it. The flow of gameplay is terrible. The game is constantly interrupting or stopping you. The story is told through the drone that accompanies you. But whenever that happens, you have to stop and read. After every sentence, you need to hit the B button to progress the dialogue. That drone never shuts up. And considering the game's combat and score multiplier is based on time, it just makes the game feel more inconsistent than anyone would like it. There is an option to turn it off, and that does make things flow faster, but it also skips cutscenes, which makes the story feel disjointed, and it doesn't make sense if you're trying to pay attention. Like being on the phone with my grandmother. It's incoherent. My last negative is, levels are just too short. Like this criticism. They're about 5 to 10 minutes long and feel too segmented. The idea of the score system after every level is meant to push you to replay them, but for the first run, it makes the game feel like it's rushing past before you even really get to grips. I recommend it, but not as something to spend hours in. It's more something you could jump into every now and again. At the end of the day, it's a game that will put either the biggest smile on your face, or have you grimace in pain at not being able to hit more people with chairs. How do I even begin to describe Babbdi? A game that puts your pronunciation skills to the test. My first question playing was, is this a meme? Are these memes? It smelled of it. The loud audio, the horrible faces, and just the overall aesthetic made me feel like the game was daring me to continue. I did, and was completely surprised. It's hard to describe what Babbdi is. The easiest way would be an open-ended exploration game, or a sandbox, in the almost literal sense. Just a big open space where almost no area is off limits, and you can move around at your pace. The objective is simple: leave Babbdi. Though I cannot imagine why. You pick up items to help you with this: a baseball bat that can launch you higher in the air, a cool motorcycle that defies gravity, and a horn, which does something. There are more items that make traversal either more fun or just broken, but I don't want to spoil it too much. Most areas need to be accessed with platforming, and it's honestly some of the most solid first-person platforming since Mirror's Edge. But not comparable at all, I'm just saying that it works. Your character latches onto ledges so you won't easily fail a jump, or undershoot a platform. It makes movement feel fast, and reaching new areas doesn't slow you down. Even jumping with a bike is pretty satisfying, and won't always end with you sprawled on the ground floor. Most times. The graphics are a hit and miss. I love the big open spaces. The brutal architecture makes platforming fun, but can make getting lost very easy, since I often can't tell one room from another. You have to keep an eye open for secret places. Most of them are lit, so you have an idea where to go. It's an oddly designed world that feels open to interpretation. Some people could even call this a horror. Others might just enjoy the strange atmosphere of the city. It's overall an interesting world to just walk around and get lost in. Literally. But all this exploration is just for fun. Collecting hidden trinkets and items for traversal are not needed to complete the story. In fact, the objective is just 3 segments long and can be completed by mostly ignoring everything around you. Check speedrun mode for more info. It's definitely a game that needs to be played for the full experience. It's not that long either, about an hour, slightly more if you want to collect all the items or find secrets. It does beg the question, how many more free games on Steam are certified classics? It's not every day a game with zero hype, coverage, or just overall presence bowls me over. Empty Shell is one of the most atmospheric roguelikes I've ever played, being something of a mix between Darkwood, Escape from Tarkov, and Teleglitch. A fantastic little roguelike from years ago, one of the first games I ever owned on Steam. I was young, broke, but still had taste. You play a volunteer sent to investigate an abandoned science facility. Wait. That one's correct. With sparse supplies and a set of objectives, expect nothing to go wrong. The visuals of Empty Shell will either put you off completely, or like me, pull you in easier than a sale on beignets. Little dough balls that are surprisingly crunchy and delicious. But that's not important. The black and white visuals contrast the environment perfectly. but also mixed with a VHS filter, which is kind of overdone with indie horror titles, but it works here. The visuals are paired with incredible sound design that just makes the game an experience. Either skulking around the lab interiors, hearing weird moans and scuttling legs, or just standing outside enjoying the rain. It's a vibe. Walking around there's a palpable fear surrounding you, since you don't know what's behind every door. But don't be too frightened, because the combat is solid. You pick up various weapons, from all reliable, the shotgun, an AK, or even a nail gun. Each weapon feels useful, whether it's about keeping distance or dealing more damage up close. If that fails, just hit him with an axe. You have a roll to dodge in case of projectiles, or just do the old tactic of running away and trying to choke them all in the hallway. Enemies will swarm you quickly in some levels, and you'll need all the gear you can find. Locate and scavenge containers for armor, drones, and my favorite, grenades. You can also buy upgrades like more health or armor totals. Collect enough cash and you can even upgrade your stamina. It's really about the experience of molding your character into a brutal killing machine. But keep in mind your inventory space. It's pretty limited and can mean having to drop your cool laser rifle because you can't find any bullets for it. Really? Now? The only problem during battles is if you have more than one weapon, and things get intense. You might not have enough time to reload or run away from a swarm, but you have a backup. Unfortunately, now you have to go into the menu, pick the weapon, equip it, and if you want to switch back, do it again. Make shootouts lack some of the intensity if you have to finagle with a menu to change weapons. Also Q as default for the menu. Why? The amount of times I accidentally pressed tab instead and opened the map is innumerable. Okay, to be fair though, you can also change the keybinds, and I never did so that's technically a non-complaint. I think I'm just a little tired. Wait, I didn't even mention the enemies. We got giant hands, giant worms, a witch woman, redundant, and a giant eyeball. And to my surprise, these designs do make sense in the world. If you read the logs and take in some of the lore, you find out whatever they found is trying to replicate life on the planet, but is messing up the proportions. If you enjoy scrounging through the lore of the game though, there are terminals you can find that play with DOS prompts, but some of them have photos that are just nothing. That's different. It's hard to describe why you should be playing this. It just feels wonderful. Controls are tight, the use of zooming in and out to check the environment helps raise the tension, and the sound design is just so impactful it had me hooked for hours. Out of all the games talked about, this one is a hidden gem. Just give in to it. What's the worst that could happen? An incredibly promising little action RPG. It plays like a love letter to Dark Messiah. You'll be kicking enemies into spike walls or having them slide into them with your ice spells. It feels very open-ended and wonderful to control. The twist is the bubblegum that lets you float up enemies, items, and even yourself. I had so much fun experimenting, like making enemies drop down to their death frozen. The demo is very early and missing some textures, but it's also like a little sandbox to play around in, and it's a lot of fun. Definitely want to keep an eye on in the future. Here we go. Another Survivor game, you ask? Even when writing this sentence, 3 more have released in early access, and one of them just got a sequel. But this figure has a tiny trick up its sleeve. It's free! It's free! It's free! Also, it uses a vision cone to see enemies in range, but the free part will most likely get people invested. Luckily, it's great too. You switch between a circular and cone shape to see enemies that are otherwise hidden. But beyond that, it's the standard survive, gain money, and XP to upgrade your weapons. The visuals are kind of my style, similar to Empty Shell, but with more focus on shooting horrible bugs. We can all relate to that. We've all been stuck inside our room late at night, hearing a little skitter on the floor, looking over and seeing a cockroach and thinking, where'd I put my shotgun? My history with the genre isn't vast, but this one is a lot of fun. It kept me going for a few hours. Some good stuff here. Empty Shell being the real standout for me. Just something about that atmosphere that keeps pulling me back in. Now, before I leave, let me know about any weird indies you've enjoyed that I might have missed. And then, I'll see you next time.